I just want to thank all the first responders. I actually gave my condolences to a few police officers that were actually holding the perimeter this morning, and you can feel the pain. And I think it's important that all Montrealers are behind what happened yesterday and give our words of thoughts to the family, to the lost ones, and to the community of Côte-des-Neiges and DG that will need help to get over this strategy. Yesterday, people were in the mode of survival. Of course, you don't feel that pain, but you feel it today. Some people didn't show up at work this morning because they are scared. And we need to be there for all Montrealers to know and remember that this, even though we had a tragic event yesterday, Montreal, they can feel safe in the city, and that's our main objective, is making sure that people will feel safe and are safe. And that's what we're going to do in the next few weeks, working with the borough and meeting with community and leaders of community to make sure that people get what they need to get through this ordeal. And so my question would be, how can we do better in the future to prevent something like this? And what are those, where do we look to make sure that we are making sure that we catch this before it happens? I think media has changed. The way that people talk to each other has changed. If you look at social media today, how can people think it's okay to talk about people in a way that you wouldn't say it in person? So I think we have to work on making sure that our city and our people in our community feel safe, not only in the public space, but also on our social media. When you see recruitment of young people through social media, it is very concerning. So, and when you see recruitment, it's not only recruitment in terms of doing something criminal, but it's also on the ideology behind social media. So I think there has to be a way that we work more together around making sure that those conversations that are happening in social media, we can actually address them and also fight against those conversations that are not very positive to all communities. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, we saw many images in social media about what was happening, and very graphic. How can we accept that? It desensitizes, ça enlève la sensibilité. Thank you, desensitize, right? We can't accept that. As a society, we need to be respectful and make sure that we're also prevailing around the dignity of the police officer that we saw yesterday and the family that had to actually see those images. So I think social media and that digital space will be one of the biggest challenges we have for the future, to make sure that our cities and our communities are safe and that we're preserving a good conversation, a positive conversation that sometimes just derails in social media. Absolutely. I think even people from that live through Polytechnique will tell you that I think we can go further. And I know it's difficult because guns sometimes are not only, or in many areas, are for hunting, for indigenous communities. But in a city like Montreal, we need to have a better control of what's happening in the streets in terms of gun control. And I'm sure that our federal government is something that we can talk about and see how can we better work on getting our cities more safe, especially on getting access to these guns.